Hi, hello, and welcome to today's video, which is going to be on Final Fantasy XIV. I'm going to retake this because I've done it twice already, but I'm going to try and keep this briefer than I did before because I know you all have very short attention spans, as evident by the analytics. But what is this video, you may be asking yourself if it wasn't evident by the thumbnail and or the title. This is going to be the Sprout's new beginner guide, whatever, to the dungeons in Realm Reborn. So that's going to be the first, like, 9 or so dungeons you have to do. So you can see why this video might be a little long. The actual tips I have for the dungeons are going to go quick because this isn't going to be an in-depth on every boss and all the abilities they do and stuff like that, because it's very straightforward. They are going to attack and they'll have usually a big orange indicator for a lot of their attacks that are going on, so just avoid that. Don't stand in front of the boss. With all that being said, I'm gonna start off this video actually with some basics for the different roles, especially if you're a tank. Please continue watching. I need you to watch. And then for everybody else, please also watch because you might find something useful. I'll put timestamps below so you can jump around to each of the dungeons if you just want that quick little bit of knowledge. So like, comment, subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into the first bit of the video. So for the first bit, I know we got a lot of dungeons to get through, but let's talk about the 3 roles. First up, DPS. Your job's easy. You got the easiest one. Don't worry about it. Hit shit, don't get hit back. Simple. If you're melee, don't stand in front of the boss. Now, next, the tanks. This is who I really want to talk to right now in this section of the video. Tanks, please turn on your tank stance and leave it on. I don't understand that. We're having issues with that. I've been seeing. As a tank, you need to get hit. So turn on your tank stance so people hit you. And then also use your AoE. It's not good enough to just single target things. If you run past the mob, they'll aggro to you at first. But if you don't hit them, they will then turn on the party. So you need to turn tank stance on when you run past mobs. Hit them with an AoE. Make sure you hit them so they stay on you. Once you do that, it's pretty simple. They shouldn't de-aggro from you. This game makes it really easy to hold threat for the most part, and face all the bosses away from the party. Just rule of thumb, always do that. That was the main thing I wanted to get out because I don't know how many times I've seen tanks go into a dungeon without tank stance on. So please just go in, turn it on, and leave it on. Since we're talking about tanks taking damage, brief word to the healers. Something you need to learn early on is to, 1, not let anybody die. Obviously, you're a healer, but also do damage. Yes, as a healer, you need to do damage. If you look up any healing guide, they'll always tell you the ABCs of casting, so you have to always be casting. They don't have to be at 100% all the time or over 100%. That's something that took me a very long time to still work on. It's okay if somebody's health gets down to like half health or even below that. You can sit there and cast your damage abilities, and then if you have like your instant cast heal or something like that, if you have regen, just put that on there. That's really about it as far as the basics for the roles go. I just need to get those little PSAs out, especially to the tanks, because that's where I've been having the biggest sore spot when going through these early level dungeons. With all that out of the way, we are going to get into the first dungeon, and that first dungeon is going to be Sastasha, which is the level 15 dungeon. This one's super easy, straightforward. It's the first dungeon you'll do. Basically, you need to kill the giant clams in the beginning when their mouth is open. When the mouth is closed, you can't do damage. When it's open, you can. So kill them first because they will spawn even more little baby ads. The first boss has the different colored coral that you have to click on. There's a bloody note in the beginning of the dungeon that will tell you what color, but really there's no penalty for clicking all of them for the most part, so you can just click them all if you forgot to read the letter. The last boss, as for most of these bosses, are just spank and tank, so just burn the shit out of them. Don't worry about mechanics. Moving on to number 2, which is the level 16 dungeon, the Tam-Tara Deepcroft. And that's going to be a very straightforward and easy boss, or easy dungeon. You just run through, pull everything, kill everything, grab the orbs as you go along. The only thing that might trip you up is the final boss. Some ads will pop up, and some of them will have a purple beam shooting from them to the boss, and that means they're tethered. And you have to kill these ads before you can do damage to the boss. So if you see an ad pop up and tethers to the boss, kill it. Besides that, this is super straightforward, super easy. You can't even really get lost. Next up, we're going to go to the Ceopperbell Mines, which is the level 17 dungeon and the one I despise and hate. The main things you need to know are you need to grab the fire sand in the beginning and throughout the dungeon. Grab fire sand. It drops from mobs as well. So they won't let you progress until you grab it. So make sure you do that. Then the next part is on the slime boss, which is the second boss. The first boss isn't even really a boss. The second boss for the slime. It's important that you do not kill the firebomb that spawns, okay? You'll notice, if you're paying attention, that you can't do damage to the slime. So DPS, when I told you to just hit shit, this is the one time I'm going to tell you not to hit shit. And that's when this giant firebomb comes out. Or it's not giant firebomb. When the firebomb comes out, the tank needs to aggro it, pull it to the slime, and then just wait for it to explode. Obviously, don't stand in the explosion, but once it does, it'll break the slime up, and you have to do this 3 times, and then you can destroy all the little slime globs that are on the ground, whatever. There'll be some Spriggans that pop up, like 1 at a time. Just deal with those as they come up. And to be honest, the fight is super simple. I just see people killing the firebomb, which extends the fight more than it needs to, and it's kind of annoying. So please don't kill the firebomb. For the last boss, same thing as all the other ones. You can just burn and DPS it through. There'll be like some mechanics that are going on, but honestly, just burn the boss. All right, with that one done, we're moving right along to the sponsored segment of this video. Hello, it is me, the creator of this video, once again asking for your support to like, comment, and subscribe on this video, please, and thank you. I would appreciate it. Or don't, whatever. You can even dislike the video. You know, whatever. Any form of engagement, all right? I'll take it. Thanks. Nobody's going to sponsor this video but me. So until we can get some, you know, fun sponsors on here, you're going to see me, my ugly face, every time. All right? So, thank you again for watching, and let's just get right back into the video, huh? Moving on, we have 1000 Maws of Toto-Rak, which is a level 24 dungeon. There will be a lot of poison in this one, so healers, you haven't really been tested up until this point, and even here you won't be tested that much, but the party will be taking more damage altogether instead of just the tank taking damage. So keep that in mind. There's a lot of poison. Besides that, pick up the photo cells along the way. You'll see these little green floating balls that say photo cell above their head. Pick those up anytime you see them. They will sometimes drop from mobs, this is the important part. You need to pick up the ones that drop from the mobs. If you miss any, you'll have to backtrack, and nobody wants to backtrack, so just pick them up. Try not to get lost is the last tip I have for this one. I'll try and put a map up on screen, so if you're a tank going through it for the first time and you want to know where to go and you don't want to get lost, pause the video, hopefully here, I think, for the map. Alright, next dungeon, Haukke Manor, which is level 28. This one is a bit more involved than the other ones, but it's still very simple. There are tiny keys you have to grab along the way. You don't have to grab every tiny key, and with that said, you don't have to clear every room. Some of them will have like the little treasure coffers, so if your team really wants to go get all the treasure coffers, sure. The succubuses are the main enemy you have to watch out for, I'd say. They have this really big AoE that will like do stun, paralyze, or whatever it is. So interrupt it if you can. If not, just run away. Don't mess with that one. The next pro tip I have here is for the first boss, and this is not actually to kill the boss because the boss is easy, but it's at the end. The door will open, like by the treasure coffer, a door will open. Don't go through that door. That door is a bait. You don't need to go through that door. You need to turn around, and then you need to go down into like the basement, okay? The next useful tip I have is for the second boss. First, don't target the skeleton first. Burn down the jester. That was the like best way to do it. After, though, is where the real tip comes in, is that's once you get the bloody parchment, use the return spell, okay? This is something you should have like hotbarred somewhere, but if you don't have it, press P, go to your actions and trace, and go to general, and then click on return. This takes you back to the beginning of the dungeon, and that's where you need to go. So instead of like running all the way back up, nobody does that, okay? Lastly, the boss does do a lot more shit than the other bosses before this, but the same principle still applies. You can just sit there and burn the boss. If you have a bunch of new people, they'll be panicking, so you might not be able to do that. But if everybody's floundering, there are 4 lamps in the corner you can turn off. They will do room-wide AoE. It's not a lot. Healers, be ready for that. And then towards the end, there will be a lot of ads that start to get spawned. They don't do a lot of damage, and if you're a healer, you should be able to heal through this with AoE healing spells. Alright, that one was kind of a long one, so let's move on to the next one, which is the Brayflox Longstop, which is level 32. This one's also pretty easy like the other ones. At the beginning, you need to go to the left to grab a key from a guy, and that way you can go fight the first boss. Aside from that, it's a lot of just straightforward going and killing things. The only last thing I'll say about this one is that the dragon at the end does a lot of poison, so again, healers, watch out for that. But he also will shoot big puddles of poison under people. I believe it targets the lowest health person when he does the attack, but there's not really a telegraph or anything for the most part for it. So if you get hit and the poison is under you, move away from the poison. If you are the tank and the boss is in the poison, move the tank out of the poison, please. Don't make your melee DPS stand in poison to fight the boss. Alright, so next we're going to do the level 41 Stone Vigil. This one is super easy. It's straightforward. It's just long. There's going to be some like little short dead ends you can go into with enemies and treasure coffers. Do those if you want or don't. The only thing to tell you about this one is that the final boss, instead of the normal orange threat indicators that you've been getting this whole time that you've been trained to dodge at this point, he doesn't do those. He does ones that blend in with the ground. So just keep an eye out for those markers, and you shouldn't have a hard time with this one. All right, so for the last one, there's two, and we're going to talk about that's Castrum Meridianum and the Praetorium. I'm not going to go in depth on these, and I don't really have a lot of tips because these are just an absolute shit show. Also, the footage for these, this is the last two for A Realm Reborn, so it's not really spoilers if I show footage for it, but I'm not going to, just in case if somebody's like really invested and they're trying to avoid any form of spoiler whatsoever. Really, it's a shit show with a lot more people than your normal dungeons, so just follow the group. There's going to be people who are doing it for like the 100th time, and just follow the herd. There's at one point, there's like searchlights. If nobody else is touching searchlights and you see there's a searchlight, go touch it. Besides that, just follow everybody else. And then in the second one, the Praetorium, there is a part where you have to grab a key card. You would like go through a door, and then you'll see like all of the people move to the right and go to this pad. That's where you can grab the key card. Be prepared to just run through things. Like, you won't kill mobs. There's a few points in, like, I think it's the Praetorium, where you'll see people just run past all the mobs, and then they'll go click like the elevator button or the like big glowing blue thing to go to like the next floor or whatever. So just try and keep up. So that's why I said just stay with the mob. That's the best tip I can give you on this one. All right, so that has been my Sprouts guide to the A Realm Reborn dungeons. I hope you found some of this information useful. I wanted to kind of compact all of these dungeons down into a quick video that you can just go through and get the main points that you need to know, instead of watching a whole like 7-minute video trying to tell you all about Sastasha when it's not that hard of a dungeon. You guys should be fine. As long as you're playing your roles properly, you shouldn't have an issue. All right, so make sure, again, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I mean, I've made you a master of dungeons at this point. I think it's the least you can do. All right, yeah, I'm trying to guilt trip you into giving me support. Okay, I got to do it somehow. All right, you guys got to help me out here. I don't know what to tell you. That's been it for me. Don't have an outro. You know me. No outros, baby. See you later, alligator.